Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to take us on an adventure. We're going to go to the Washington State Fair. I haven't been there in a couple years because of COVID and other things. So I'm looking forward to this. Get to have an opportunity to have food that's not really good for me. A lot of walking around, a lot of things to see, and hopefully lots of photo opportunities. So my plan is I should arrive right around 11 o'clock this morning, and then I plan to stay through evening, through sunset at least, so probably about 8:30 or 9. Lots of different environments to create photos in during that time frame. I'm thinking some long exposures at night, thinking some street photography, people stuff during the day. Weather today is forecast to be really, really nice. It's going to be in the low 70s. I've got my sunscreen on. I got a backpack full of lenses. I pretty much brought everything with today except for my pro lenses. So I've got my primes, I've got my zooms. I'm ready to rock and roll, ready to go have some fun and put some steps in and go create some photos and see what we find. So my plan of right now is to make this a 3-part video. I'll probably do 2 parts during the day and 1 part at night. So stay tuned. I'll update you after the photos about that plan as I know more about it after I make the photos. So anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy the photos, and I'll see you on the other side. Hello again. Well, there you have the first batch of photos from a day at the fair, about 10 hours of photos, not all of them right there. You have to stay tuned for part 2 and part 3 of this series of day at the fair photos to get all the rest. So let's talk a little bit about these photos. Some thoughts of the experience, some tips, some ideas, some philosophy, I guess. So first of all, one of the things I really appreciated was the gift of the day. I had 10 hours at the fair by myself. So that means I could do whatever I want as far as looking for photos. That means I could eat when and where I wanted. That means I could just kind of follow the flow and see what happened. And that was a great gift. I'm really glad and grateful that I have the space in my life that coincides when the fair happens that I can do that. So here's why that works so well for me. I know that when I'm with other people, when I'm trying to do photographs, I'll tend to go with the flow a little bit and go with the group more than saying what I would prefer to do, what I would like to do as a photographer. So even when I'm with other photographers, I see things differently, they see things differently. So my recommendation is, as you know yourself, is to be aware of which way you work better. If you work better with other people around, or if you work better and find yourself being more creative when you're alone. So for me, it's when I'm alone. So note to self, take those days when you can. The second thing I noticed and am grateful for is I've been to the fair, this fair, the Washington State Fair, probably at least 20 times in the 30 plus years I've lived in the area. So I'm very familiar with it. And the fun thing with the fair is it evolves and changes from year to year, which is both fun and sometimes frustrating. So I had some expectations and some ideas of things I was going to photograph. But for example, like the 4-H dogs weren't there, so no puppy pictures. So you have to adapt. Things are going to change. They're going to be different. And there's two options, I think, of your attitude around that. You can go ahead and say, well, that stinks, or, well, it's different. Let's go to the next thing. So I try and do the latter. Usually I have initial moment of, and then move on to, well, what is here? What's next? So if you can, be flexible in the midst of things that you're familiar with that are different. Know that things will always change, just like we do as people. Another thought about these photos, this batch of photos, you'll notice it was a beautiful day. The weather was amazing. It was low 70s, blue sky, hardly any clouds, which is great when you're walking around and enjoying the fair and in the midst of all the happy people also enjoying the fair, but it's not the most photogenic light. So again, there's an attitude you can have. Well, this light stinks. It's not what I want. So you notice some of those photos, I used the sun as a composition element. So that's how I tried to cope with that. Another thing I was trying to do was thinking ahead to the evening photos, which as I mentioned, will be in part 3 of the video. And think about what would look good when the light was lower and all the fair lights were on. I'm sure it'll come as no surprise that your attitude, as I've mentioned in these previous points, is very powerful. It really affects what you're able to create, how you approach it, the way you embrace things that are unexpected, the opportunities, all that stuff. So if you can, as much as possible, have that attitude of openness and flexibility and see what happens. Have a plan, but be spontaneous if you can within that plan. Another part of attitude that I find is really important for me is to not dwell on what I missed. I know I missed a ton of photos this day in these few hours that are represented in this batch of photos. But I also know I got a lot of photos that I'm really happy with, that I really enjoy. So again, attitude of be grateful for what you brought to the creative process and what you noticed, what you captured, what you created in your photos versus what you missed. So there's some thoughts on these photos. And speaking of these photos, there is a link in the description below to see these photos on Flickr and enjoy them at your leisure. And if you'd like, please leave comments there or in the comments below about these photos, your thoughts, your opinions. As I've mentioned, always, I really enjoy having conversations with you all. Appreciate your feedback, appreciate your thoughts, and hope you find these photos helpful and maybe even a little inspirational. As I mentioned, this is part 1 of a 3-part series of videos about my day at the fair. The next part will be focusing on some of the rides, some photos from that. And then the third part will be in 2 weeks. That will be night at the fair. So if you want to make sure to see those videos, please click that subscribe button and click on the notification bell, and you'll have a better chance of the algorithm showing you those videos next time you come to YouTube. So look forward to seeing you in those videos, and I look forward to, again, reading your comments. Really encourage that. If you like this video, that also helps a ton. If you would please click that like button. Look forward to seeing you on the socials. I'm on the Instagram, the Vero now, and on the Flickr, as you've seen with these photos. So follow there, and I'd love to follow back and see you online. So until we meet again in the next video, stay safe, stay well, and have fun creating photos. Bye for now.